here and there. What can you say about that? What can you generally say about what is happening, the current situation in Kenya?
Generally, VVS, Gen Zs have made us proud. Yes. You being one of them, I saw you in the streets. I saw you demonstrating for the interest of Kenyans, for the against the high cost of living. Yes. And I saw you at least being at the forefront, which was a good thing. And I really want to thank Gen Zs across the country, millennials also, and also other Kenyans who later on joined in these demonstrations. And it clearly showed that as a nation, we have a common challenge. And we have so many problems which are facing us together. A problem that is facing a Gen Z in the Rift Valley is the same problem facing a Gen Z in Nairobi, in Central, and in other regions. All these Gen Zs, all Kenyans are facing similar challenges. If the cost of fuel is high, it will be high to everybody in the country, to all the Gen Zs in the country. If the cost of education is high, like the way Ruto decided to raise the cost of education, and being told that a social science course is going to cost 300,000 Kenya shillings to a mama mboga who is selling mboga. How can that mama mboga, who's never ever in their lives held 10,000 Kenya shillings at once, afford 300,000 Kenya shillings to only educate one child in an institution of higher learning? That shows you clearly that the president is not thinking, either he's not thinking, or even if he's thinking, is ignoring the challenges facing Kenyans. Is not in tandem with the realities that Kenyans are facing on the ground. So therefore, there are different challenges that we are facing as a nation, from high cost of living to high cost of education, to unemployment, to corruption, to patrimonialism. So basically what Gen Zs have been doing, they have been out advocating, championing, trying to liberate Kenyans from the shackles of oppression, from the jaws of bondage that Ruto has fixed us in, and they've been doing a just cause. They've been pursuing a just cause. So I really appreciate them, because they cannot be in the streets if there is no problem, if they're not facing any challenge. So whatever they've been doing, I'm really in support. They've also been demonstrating on the X space. I'm also supporting that. They've been demonstrating on the ground. I'm in support of that. And you remember when I promised that I will open for them the gates, parliament gates. Yes, watu walifunga hapo wakaficha key, but ilibidi sasa turuke juu tuambie that they should come. Na wewe pia kama uliingia pale bunge, hata niliweka pilipili mahali na chumvi kama because walikuwa nalia hiyo food haikuwa na nini salt enough, but anyway, the most important thing is that the challenges that are being faced by Kenyans must be solved. And they must be solved by the executive, and the executive is headed by the president. And clearly you can see that he's not interested by the choice of his cabinet. There's a lot of discrimination that has been experienced. Number one, the Gen Zs have not been considered. Serious youth have not been considered. Number two, there's the gender issue. The two-third gender rule not observed as envisaged in the Constitution. Number three, persons with disability have not been taken care of. Okay? The only disability that Ruto has considered is mental disability by taking people to join the cabinet. That's it.
And Gen Zs are partyless, tribeless, and formless, And you as a millennial leader, you are in the best position to tell us how to go about the formation of parties. Because we can't, if we want to be in the political space, then it means that we need to prepare for the elective seats. So how do we go about that? We are partyless, we are formless.
It is very important for Gen Zs to be partyless as at now, to be tribeless forever, to be formless, because the moment they have a specific, to be leaderless, the moment they have a specific leader, that leader might be compromised. They might give that leader some goodies, and that leader might now not champion the cause, the worthy cause of the Gen Zs or of Kenyans. And therefore, when we talk about Gen Zs being partyless as at the moment, it's good for them, because we've seen what these parties are doing. Right now, we have members of ODM who just jumped ship, ran away from the opposition, and now are in bed with the government. And they never even fought for this thing, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
The Gen Zs who are in the streets, people who died, have not been compensated. These people are busy dancing on the grave of the dead.
Yeah.
So therefore, the idea of being partyless as at now is good. In future, they can still decide to be partyless, or they can decide to put all that energy in one basket and have a party that is going to produce a presidential aspirant.
Yeah.
They are saying that they don't trust politicians. Not all politicians are bad. Some politicians are standing with the Gen Zs, and there are those also who are not with them. So if they are not trusting those politicians, not all of them are bad, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, even with the current demonstrations that are ongoing, they need to be structured. Leadership must be provided.
Yeah.
But people who are coming out, activists are doing well, civil societies, but they're also saying that they don't want politicians in them, in this thing, and that this thing should be leaderless, but they also want to provide leadership. You see, that is where the problem comes in.
Yeah, yeah.
That they don't want any politician to come in and no leaderless, but they want to provide leadership.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of push and pull, but all in all, there's a collective responsibility where we are all coming together, people with a similar agenda, same interest, the politicians to the leaders with their similar interest as the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
The civil society is also doing well, and other Kenyans are also in unison with what we are doing. So generally, there must be direction that has to be given, whether we like it or not. Why? Because the demonstration started on a high note. Right now, there's a little bit of fluctuation, although still being attended, well attended. But with time, it might lose the momentum if there's no proper leadership, if there's no proper guidance. I used to hold demonstrations here alone when I was at the University of Nairobi, when there were challenges, when we were fighting against corruption, fighting the then President Kibaki, President Uhuru, former presidents, okay? I was holding demonstrations and it was well structured. We need to be giving also ultimatums, and then after the ultimatums are not met, then we call for demonstrations. But the frequency by which we are doing the demonstrations is also very important. Now we need to apply strategy. It's not just about going for a war. You have to go for these wars and you strategize well. Napoleon Bonaparte was a military genius. But because he didn't strategize well during the last battle, the Battle of Waterloo, what happened? He was defeated.
True.
So we need to strategize and defeat the enemy. We have one enemy. You cannot keep on saying that, we don't want this politician while he means well. Those who mean well must be included. An enemy of your enemy is your friend. But if we keep excluding people and expunging people from it, then what are you fighting for? You are not fighting for your own interest. You are fighting for the interest of Kenyans. Yours included. So some leaders must be included in this thing.
Yeah.
Leaders who mean well must be included. Civil society who mean well must be included.
True.
Gen Zs must take, they are the forefront.
Actually,
They are the
one
leaders of
dying.
this. Millennials must be included. Our parents must be included. Let it be a collective war against a common enemy, who is Ruto.
And Babu, if we are talking about...
the issue of also the party.
Yeah. If we are talking about kuwasalimia na ballot, and also if you're talking about haki yangu ama policy zangu zikwe forward to the parliament, we need those we need our MPs in those positions. We need young leaders. And if you are formless and partyless, 2027, who are we going to elect? Are we going to elect formless, or we really don't have those leaders? And I feel like sahi tunafaa vile umesema the strategy way of having those all those youths together, and that is why we're here. The ballot. Ama how will we achieve the kuwasalimiana ballot? Ama ensuring that we have leaders who are going to fight for our rights. If we don't have leaders of our own, doing that the way you do. Education in imeshika, it is well represented by you. Though we have so many other areas like women. So what strategy it had to lead to that?
There are two ways of getting to parliament or getting into an elective seat, either at the county assembly or in the National Assembly or in Senate or at a gubernatorial level where you are going for a governor, or an alternative of or when you want to vie as a presidential aspirant. There are two ways of vying. There are two vehicles that you will use. One, you'll use a political party, and two, you can vie as an independent candidate.
Okay.
So if you insist that you are partyless, for those who want to be partyless, if they want to contest, and I encourage them as youthful leaders to contest as many as possible so that they can occupy parliament. There are 1,000,001 Gen Zs, millions and millions of Gen Zs, who are better than these members of parliament. 90% of these members of parliament you are seeing in parliament, who are here making very retrogressive laws. They don't even know the definition of law, what they are making. Majority of them don't know that. Okay? So therefore, these Gen Zs should occupy this space. They should provide leadership. Because if Babu Owino came from Nyalenda slums and who has been elected as a member of parliament, you as a Gen Z VVS, you can't come to parliament. You can't be elected in a position of representation. And you can come there either by vying as an independent candidate or by vying in a political party, using a political party, which is a vehicle that will bring you there. But it is also very easy for us, for the Gen Zs to come together, for the millennials to come together, for the youth, basically who form around 65 to 70% of the Kenyan population, to come together and say that, you know what, we can make an overhaul, we can change the system, we can get into parliament in our numbers, because it is us who elect them. Okay? So 2027, either you can look for a political party that is a vehicle that can bring you to parliament, to the county assembly, for a gubernatorial seat, or even a president. Look at Senegal, youthful leaders who came from prison 10 days to elections and went straight to State House. They didn't even have money to pay agents. They did not even hire agents. They did not even hire agents, right? So therefore, generally, there must be a structure up and down. If it is about Gen Zs, it is about forming one political party that is going to cater for their interest, that is going to ensure that they are delivered in parliament in numbers. Over 200 members of parliament should be Gen Zs. At the county assembly, all the over 1,200 members of county assemblies should be all Gen Zs.
Yeah, true.
Okay? Gubernatorial seats, they can't take it. President, Ruto campaigned on the ground of a hustler narrative. So many hustlers, youth are the hustlers in this nation. And they form the bigger percentage of the Kenyan population. And therefore, they should even look for that seat. Let's take everything and let's change this country the way we want it changed. So, 2027, we can also revolutionize this country by ballot. Yes.
And that is the way to go. And if we don't have a party, see, we can form a party. Constitutionally,
yes,
if you are 35 years and above, you can be a president, right? And inaweza kuwa poa if we have a young president. You are a millennial, and this is a fight between the Gen Z, millennial, and now the people at large.
Yes.
Because our parents are there and all that. Are you willing to be part of Gen Zs who really who wants to form a political party, and we endorse you? Tunaweza fanya hii mambo ama niaje? We need to have a young leader who really understands us. Now we don't have a party, and he's already in parliament, and you already have the political knowledge, and you know how these things go. Tunaweza anzisha party. Will you be willing to be on that journey as a party presidential candidate, and also for the Gen Z, because we can't be talking about kusalimia na ballot without the thinking of leadership, we need to occupy these political seats. And the way to go about it is having a leader. And if you are formless or rudderless, we can we can have you start that journey for us. Let's build a political party. What do you say about that?
It's making a lot of sense, because by the end of the day, if you want our economy to grow, you cannot separate politics from the economy.
Yeah.
The economy of a state is determined by the political activities of that state. And the political activities of a state determines the economy of a state. If the political activities are not well managed, the economy will collapse. If they are well managed, the economy will grow. The development comes from political leaders, because they are the custodian of Kenyans' funds. They have a fiduciary duty, duty based on trust. They are the agents and the agency duty. Duty as an agent of the people. Fiduciary trust, holding in trust these positions for the people. And because we know that resources are allocated in different departments, these departments are managed by political leaders. The process of getting there is through a political process called an election. So definitely, we will need political leaders. Whether we want it or not, we must need political leaders who are going to help us. The question is, what type of political leaders are we electing? If you've seen that you've been electing wrong leaders, leaders who don't represent your interest, then 2027 is there for them to go home. Make sure you make a decision at the ballot. Babu Owino as a millennial and a Gen Z, because all Gen Zs, all comrades are Gen Zs. Yeah. And Babu Owino is a senior comrade. Yeah. Therefore, Babu Owino is a Gen Z by both assimilation and association. Okay? Yeah. So if we form our coalition of Gen Zs and millennials to form Zillennial, okay?
Zillennial. A very good name for a party.
So definitely, it can take us somewhere. Yeah. Because there must be somebody in 2027 that has to champion for the interest of Gen Zs. And there must be several of them also who can also champion at different levels. Yeah. As I've said, at the county assembly, at the national assembly, at the senate. In county entails both a governor and members of the county assembly, and even at the presidential level. Okay? So generally, if there is going to be a party for Gen Zs, I'm in support for that. Yeah. So that we deal with this miscreant gang once and for all. Yeah, yes. And on the position of contesting as a presidential candidate, long ago it used to be 35 and above, 35 years and above. But right now, so long as you are an adult, and the age of majority in Kenya is 18 years old. So I think at 18 you are allowed to contest.
Constitutional, it's correct.
Yes, 18 years as an adult, so you will contest.
Yes.
So long ago, it used to be 35 and above during Moi's era, right? Yes, but with the promulgation of the new constitution 2010, a lot of things changed. Yeah. Yes.
Meskia, my fellow viewers, fellow Gen Zs and millennials, we cannot have a ballot, Kwasalimia, and a ballot without leaders. And we can't do that without being in a party or also independent. And because we are formless and leaderless, we can be tribeless but political, in a political party. The name was Zillennials. Like
Zillennial.
We can propose, a formation of a political. We can propose a formation of a political party, and I am endorsing you, Babu Owino, with the rest of agencies. If you agree to that, to answer registration on a serious note, because we cannot have a kakistocracy government. You know, we need people with good merits, and at least our nation in a progress, because we are crashing as a nation, you know. So guys, if you really agree to that, we endorse Babu Owino and also all other Gen Zs. It's high time we take these political seats, you know. So back to my question now, Babu Owino, we would really love for you to be part of this, and you are part of this, and also our fellow Gen Zs. But back to the finance bill. After the finance bill was withdrawn, yeah, there was the zero rated on local manufacturing. Yeah, so does it still apply to that for local manufacturers?
There are certain goods that were zero rated.
Yes.
Goods such as bread was zero rated. And when they wanted to introduce tax on bread, what does it mean to Kenyans? It means that even a basic thing that is at the bottom of the table can be taxed. It means that a normal Kenyan can't afford bread.
Yeah.
Then it was really going to be a sad thing. Because number one, the moment you put tax on bread, then you are trying to even kill local production, local industries. Bread is made from wheat, right? So therefore, farmers must farm wheat and supply the factories with it. In addition to that, there's sugar, okay? That must also be supplied by the farmers.
Yeah.
So the moment you increase the taxation on bread, what you're going to do is simple. It means that the price of bread was going to go up. The moment the price is up, it means that the demand for that bread will be lowered. Not so many people will want to use bread, right?
Yeah, if it's at 75, who will even afford to
Nobody
buy
will
bread?
want to buy that bread.
Yeah.
They will opt for other things, right? Then if you don't buy that bread, it means that its supply also will stop. Where does the supply come from? It comes from the factory.
The factory, yeah.
Therefore, that factory will close down because there is no demand for bread. People don't buy the demands that the bread that they are producing. The moment that factory closes down, people will lose jobs. So, increment in price of bread leads to even loss of jobs because of low demand, right? Loss of jobs at the factory, loss of jobs at the farm level, where people will also stop farming wheat because no company, no industry, no factory is buying that bread.
Yeah.
Is buying the wheat, the raw material, okay, for the manufacture of bread. So it would lead also to the closure of industries, and that applies also to certain goods like sanitary towels. Okay, when the government said that they wanted to increase prices for imports so that they can spur up local production, it was a very good idea. But the question is, does the local production produce enough to sustain the existing population that we have in the country? The answer is no.
No.
Okay? Because we are not well equipped. Therefore, increasing imports, cost for imports, the burden of cost will still go back to the common mwananchi on the ground. Because the moment wananchi's demand for goods like pads, sanitary towels, and then they find that they are not sufficiently produced, they will turn an eye and look at the imports. They will find those imports at a higher value. Therefore, that cost will go up. So, the moment we buy more imports, we will be losing money as a country because we are taking all that money and removing that money from our economy into our other economies, which is called leakages. It is leaking into other economies. And that is what we call in economics foreign absorption. We don't need to promote foreign absorption. Yeah. We need to promote domestic, local absorption, where money circulates within the system. Okay, so zero rating, there are certain goods that you cannot put tax on them. If you go to most of these counties, most of these constituencies, up to now, people can't afford even pads. Some of them use soil. They sit on the soil a whole day. If you go here to Turkana, some parts of Kilifi, some of them use clothes. Some of them use leaves, taking dignity away from our children, taking dignity away from our girls, taking dignity away from our daughters and our mothers was not the right way to go. Okay? So, issues taxation, generally, increment of tax in any product, any good, creates low demand for that good. And it goes down to where that good is manufactured. Where it is manufactured, even jobs will be lost. So it was a wrong idea.
Definitely. Everything about this finance bill is just a wrong idea from the start. Babu, you really mentioned a very sensitive area, menstruation, pads, and period poverty has been the national crisis for the female gender, and we have actually started a campaign. I think a year ago, of walking with placard and
I saw you
with free pads, zero tax free pads, but the only way to beat this poverty, period poverty, is bringing a local manufacturer, having a local pad for Kenyans. Because you look at the kind of pads that are here, example like Cortex and Always, they are imported, and 98 of the products, menstrual products, are imported. Only 2% of Binti, she's a local manufacturer, but people won't go for Binti because of the quality and also support. Babu, for us to end the period poverty, we need to have our own local pads, and we're also looking at affordability. And I have a system of production of sanitary pads, and this is sanitary. I don't know if you have ever come across a reusable pad, but I brought you a sample today. Unajua wewe ni Babu kwa sababu ya.
This is amazing. I can promote it.
Yes, that is a reusable.
And I've actually seen this reusable one where you wash it with the cold water, right?
Yeah.
And then you rinse it.
Yeah.
And then you can reuse it. And I can see the way it is also very soft.
Yes.
So I think it's
soft and ready for women to use, yeah?
Yeah. So this is a good idea. I've been seeing you doing this for a long time now, and you are doing an amazing job. Actually, there's a time I saw you in the streets advocating for this alone. And it takes a lot of courage for you to come out and say that, you know what, our daughters must live a dignified life. Our women must no longer live with stigma in their minds, okay? Because this is the reality on the ground. This is what is happening. So we must respect our girl child. Yes.
So I feel that this is the future, the reusable pad, and we have a system of production of these pads and also delivery, that every girl in Embakasi or your constituency, and every girl and woman in this country, that they're supposed to be able to access sanitary pad. We are thinking of giving it to schools, to slums, and all that. Will you be our investor? Because we are looking for an investor.
Of course, anything that is going to help our girl child, I'm in it, because we must, even our school-going children, our comrades at the university, in high school, at primary level, we must create a conducive environment for them to study. If somebody is going through her peers, okay, and they don't have a way of what happens, right? So that stigma is what we don't want to create in the minds of our children, our young girls. So we need to make them be confident when they're in class, they are comfortable, they can concentrate without even, if a boy child probably does not know about menstrual cycle, sees a girl child bleeding, see again, that again can cause a lot of trauma to this boy child if not well educated, right? And to this girl child, there's also a lot of trauma and stigma about how she will handle this moving forward, having been seen going through that process. So we need to treat our children with a lot of dignity, our mothers and our girls. So I will support this. We will communicate. We see. You will invite me pia penye you are manufacturing them.
In fact, we want to establish one.
Yes.
In Embakasi.
Yes.
You are our area MP.
That's amazing.
Establishing a local manufacturing pad in Embakasi, whereby we will be producing reusable pad and distribute in schools in Embakasi and also those children's home, and also now proceed to other counties, because period poverty issue in Embakasi is the same issue in all these areas. So we are very happy and humbled for you to accept the investor invitation, and also for anyone who's watching. Period poverty is a very national crisis, and we need to help our women and also have a permanent solution and also affordability. So also you can feel free to be an investor and also chip in a distribution of free. Babu will be distributing it for free.
That's proper.
Because that's the need of ending the period poverty.
We'll definitely invest in that. there, we'll definitely invest in that.
Okay, thank you so much.